And now the most exciting for you, native speakers of English language, first of all, British people, the true and never heard before real history of your country. Sorry to say that. The history that you, sorry to say that, know nothing about. Yes, my friends, you used to be Kartvelian as well. Your ancestor, which you have a very vague knowledge about, various Britons, which did not exist, you will understand that. Picts, Welsh, Gael, etc., people that spoke all those strange languages all over the British Isles. They all are rooted very firmly, very solidly into that Kartvelian world, Kartvelian-speaking world, which you have which you know nothing about, and this is not your fault. This is the fault of those who actually wiped that whole Kartvelian-speaking civilization, which is also the source for the British civilization in particular, and left almost no traces of. So that's the biggest crime in the history of this world. Eliminating, eradication of the whole civilization, that the languages of which were spoken all over, but we don't remember that. We remember nothing of that today.
ჩვენისი ცოცხალე ჩიტივით გაგვიფრინდება არის ჩვენისი ცოცხალე ჩიტივით გაგვიფრინდება.
Get ready now. You will not only receive a huge number of proofs of the Kartvelian past of your country, but also you will obtain a new, unexpected, and totally satisfying, totally legitimate etymology for the name of Britain. But we start with the core piece of information in our story. That will be a tribe of Kartvelian, a tribe that used to live near Leicester. Actually, the methodology of the project Between Two Iberias implies that there is a not all the information, not all the materials within the project are equally indubitable. So we have the core, which in fact is not criticizable. You cannot do anything about that. And the story that I'm going to tell you now about the Kartvelian tribe represents such an indubitable element of the system. So if you want to criticize it, go on, be my guest. But you won't be able to do anything but to accept it, but to accept the Kartvelian origin of this tribe. Also, the project Between Two Iberias has weaker elements that may be 50-50, elements that do not represent the 100% morphological correspondence between two words, but may be just a matter of resemblance. Yes, they are criticizable. They are not indubitable, but they work for the overall system, for the overall picture, supporting all those elements support each other. So my point is, if you want to disprove anything, if you want to criticize, please do so, but do that. Try to do that first about the core of my concept of this project. Please don't carp at the smaller elements which are secondary, which are not the most essential what this project represents. Okay, thank you very much. So Koreiltavi, that name is a it's totally Kartvelian, and it represents a combination of two words actually. Korieli Tavi, that would be Korieli. That's an adjective made out of the kori noun. The kori means hawk, a bird, and Korieli actually that's even a Georgian surname meaning hawky or related to hawks. And Tavi, that's a head. Thus, you have a hawk head. We don't know what it means, but we know that Druids used to consider hawks as a sacred bird. That's first, and second, even today, so-called cave of Koreiltavi mentions some kind of ritual which is really connected with the hawk of the north. I have no idea what it is. Actually, to understand all that stuff, you need to travel there and to take part in that ceremony. But Koreiltavi, at least once we know that the word Koreiltavi is related to the word hawk. And we know that that's exactly what this word means, hawk head. And to nail it down, please get acquainted with the names of the kings of this tribe, Koreiltavi. One of them bore a name Kartvelius, which is Kartvelian, which is clearly, well, actually Georgian. Georgians themselves, they don't call them Georgians, they call them Kartvelians. Kartveli, that would be Georgian in Georgian language. And Georgia as a country is not Georgia in Georgian language, it's Sakartvelo, where Kartvelians live. So Kartvelius, a name of a king for a tribe, a British tribe, which translates only from Georgian point of view and translates perfectly. Two other kings, Dumno Koveros and Dumno Velaunus, well, have two tricky names to be able to interpret them clearly, but they both start with Dumno. Dumna in Georgian language means to keep silence. So we can imagine they were silent kings or something like that. But nevertheless, Koreiltavi, that's a hawky head. It translates only from Georgian point of view. Their king was Kartvelius, which is Kartvelian, and tried to do anything about that. Next to them, you will find the tribe of Siluri, Silurus. Siluri, that would be a Kartvelian adjective made out of the noun sili, and that sili, that would be tuberculosis, or more in a more wide meaning, that would be coughing. We understand that. So Siluri, that would be somebody who is coughing, and that's a perfect name for a tribe that is not native for this land, that which might have come from the continent. And we know that the self-etonym of the Welsh people is Cymri, which is spelled through Y letter, so that would be Cymru, maybe considered as Cymru as well. Kimri, Cymru, well, it may have many interpretations. And there is at least there are some reasons to associate this name with Cimmerians, Cimmerians, who used to live in Ukraine before Scythians, but Scythians made them go very far. Herodotus tells us that they came as far finally as the coast of Atlantic Ocean, which means that with the course of time they may find themselves living on British Isles and being called Siluri for their tendency to cough, because were not accustomed to such specific British weather, and because they came from maybe from Ukraine, or at least from some part of the European continent. But Siluri, that would be a typically Georgian adjective. Already mentioned that the old British system of counting sheep has overo as 8. At the same time, in Laz language, 8 is ovro. Nothing, no comments. Nothing to comment. And this is the promised etymology for the word Britain. It's tricky. We don't know what root exactly we are supposed to analyze for the vast variety of all the possible ways to write this word. So we need, all of them cannot be true, just one of them is true. So we need to choose which one would be true. I insist that the root to analyze in the word Britain is prut. And I'll explain. Is the starting P justified in this case? Yes, because the modern Welsh name for the island is Prydain, starts with P. Is the U sound, not E but U sound, is it justified in the root that suggests for analysis? Yes, because the same Welsh name as well as common Brittonic forms, they all spell it through Y, which is Y, which is Y, which is an ancient Greek letter that used to render U sound, not E sound, and for that reason, all the toponyms, all the names spelled today through Y should be interpreted as such that used to be pronounced with U sound, not E. So, what about the final T in this root that I suggest? Yes, Britain has the letter T. So you can argue that, but you don't have reasons. You don't have more reasons to argue with the root that I suggest, with the root pruti, than you have to argue any other variation of the same name. So if you have something against that, you should have as much against any other variant. Okay, so that would be pruti if you like it or not. The word pruti is present in the dictionary of Georgian language of Ariane Chanturia, where it means misty drizzling. If you add the adjective suffix an, you will have prutani or Britanni with the course of time. That would be land of misty drizzling. This is what your land actually is. In Ireland, we have a self-ethnonym which sounds as Erie in the local language, while Erie in Georgian means nation people. And to strengthen the Irish-Georgian connection, we show you the map of Ptolemy, where Ireland is mentioned as Ibernia. That would be Iberni, that it's impeccable Old Georgian plural form of Iberi. Iberi, that you know what it is. Fitzgerald, Fitzsimmons, Fitzpatrick, etc. That those surnames start with Fitz, which in Georgian language means a split or something which is splintered off. For example, a son is a member of family. Liverpool, at least several times, is mentioned in medieval text as a toponym spelled through Y letter. That gives us reason to suspect that it also may bear the Lub root, which we will talk about in details later. Next to Liverpool, there is a small village called Kulhet. I don't know, I'm not sure that I pronounce it the right way, the way it's pronounced by local people themselves. But Kulhet may be interpreted perfectly as a famous Georgian ancient word Kolkheti, land of Kolkhi. Kolkheti, Kolkhis, Kolkhida, all that is very, very fundamental for Georgian history and the world's history as well. This one is my favorite. Orkney, those isles were mentioned first by Pytheas, who is Pytheas, in fact, the ancient Greek traveler, and he mentioned them as orcas. He mentioned them as a plural, as a noun in a plural form, orcas, and please note that the word Orkney, in fact, is the Old Georgian plural form made with the help of the suffix "n" out of a singular orca. So orcas and Orkney, that would be totally corresponding plural forms of the same thing in two different languages. So at the same time, we know that orca is a whale, killer whale, and now we understand that the Orkney Islands, in fact, is a plural made out of orca as a whale. What etymology can this word orca have? I suggest that it comes from the Georgian masdar orqua, where orc is the root, which means cape or cloak. So you might imagine that if you remember how orcas look like, you may imagine that somebody might want to call it as an animal wearing a black cape. But you don't have to imagine that, because in fact this is what the whale is called officially by the scientists. We have a scientific work here related to the killer whales. It has the authors, it has the date of publication, etc., where the whale is characterized with the definition dorsal cape. That would be exactly what scientists think orcas have. Cape, that would be orca in Georgian language, and now we understand both where the name of the whale comes from and where the name of the British word Orkney, British toponym Orkney, come from. They all come from Georgian language. And this one is cool. In Lithuanian language, which we will talk about in details later, has clear signs of Georgian masdars. So clear that I suggest to start using such a scientific term, Lithuanian masdar. So, for example, Piktibe, that would be something that would correspond to Piktoba in Georgian language, made out of the noun Pikti, which does not exist in or has not preserved in Georgian dictionary, but altogether Piktibe and Georgian Piktoba means evil or evilness. That would be a perfect definition for the Pict tribe, which is known from the history of Britain as quite evil. And the language that helped us to establish that link, that was Lithuanian through Georgian. Interesting? Yes. Well, now ordinary words from the dictionary. Me means I in Georgian, which is me in English language. We already spoke about that. Te in Georgian, in Megrelian, means definite article, which is the in English language. Do you have any idea about the etymology for the word boy? Now you will have in the Megrelian dictionary of Ottari Kajaya, you will see the word boshi, which is the fundamental Megrelian word meaning boy. You will see it in a different form, boi. As I told you, Megrelian language is known for omitting the consonants. And that's an example where the consonant sh is omitted, and boshi turns into boy. But that's exactly what boy is, and that is exactly the etymology for this English word. The etymology for this English word is Megrelian. You are Megrelians. I already told you about the va or vo negative prefix of Megrelian language, which means no or not. And now you understand the difference between man and woman. What kind of vo is that? That's a negative Megrelian negative particle, which means not. We have man and not man. Ori means two in Georgian language. Or is a conjunction, English conjunction, which means choice between two. Many languages already showed you an example from Lithuanian language, but many other languages show the presence or traces of presence of masdars, typical Georgian masdars in their languages as well. For example, in Ukrainian language, khvoroba, žaloba, uchoba, etc., ending with the trademark Georgian oba would be typically and clearly Georgian masdar ending with oba and meaning, well, in Ukrainian language that would be only a verbal noun, but in Georgian language is both infinitive and verbal noun. And I insist, so they are present in Ukrainian, in Russian, in Lithuanian, in Latvian language, and I insist that the traces of Georgian masdars have remained in English language as well. It's so-called O ending, well, it's a group of nouns ending with O. So that would be boro, that may come from Georgian borje, meaning debt. That would be follow, which comes from folva, which means to touch with hoofs. That would be burrow, that is cognate with Georgian gabura, meaning to cover something from above. That would be allow and aleba, meaning absolutely the same in Georgian language. That would be those two. The next two examples are extremely interesting. Furrow, that would be puri, we know fu and pu, that's the same thing. That would be cow, to do something with cow. Harrow, that would be hari, ox, to do something with ox. So we furrow with cows and we harrow with oxen. Isn't that amazing? Show, that's the same as shoba, which is birth. So to show up, that means to see the light, to be born. Grow, that's grova, increasing in dimensions. Hallow, that would be hala, hallowed bread. And no, that is gneba, that means exactly the same in Georgian language. Throw, that would be treva, that is actually dragging or pulling, but in some meanings it may be approaching the meaning of throwing, while row means exactly the same as reva. Reva means stirring something. When you row, you stirring the water with oars. And wallow, and that would be the Georgian masdar waloba, that means to owe. The root maz in Georgian language means beautiful, and from my point of view, it's a cognate to British amazing. Ansi in Georgian language means exactly what ansi means in English language: naughty, restless, frisky. Avala, that's free space, and a good etymology for avail and available. Avi, that is bad, and a good etymology for the English word awe, A-W-E. Badeba, that's giving birth. I already told you that in Georgian language, in Kartvelian languages, anything related to family has mostly a negative connotation. So, badeba, giving birth, that would be doing something bad. Actually, that's a sin, if you remember it from Christian philosophy. But at the same time, in Laz language, badi, which is actually bad, that's evilness. So clear etymology for the word bad, which has been considered purely English so far, but from now on it is not. It is a Kartvelian word. Bareba, that would be accusing. To bar in English language means the same. Barwa, that would be to dig in something with a spade. To bear, that would be to do something with spade again. To make something to appear. To take the earth of something with spade. Bigwa in Migrelian language means big man. Big and bigwa, that's the same thing. Blue in Georgian language means stutterer, stuttering, while one of the meanings of the word blue in English language is frightened. Bubu means soft. Definitely the etymology for the word boob. Buki, that's something made of wood, for example, a beehive. Why not a book itself, which also is made of wood? Brew means giddiness or dizziness. That's to brew, to make beer, which is connected to dizziness directly. This is not what you may think it is. Those are buds, real flower buds. And the story is like that. In Swan language, bud means vagina. And the pictures are the reasons why. Bumbly, that's down, or breast feathers, if we're talking about birds. And now you clearly understand why bumblebee is called that way. That would be a downy bee if translated from Georgian language, but you never knew you were supposed to translate it from that language. Kamoba means disobedience. Kameli would mean disobedient. From this point of view, Kameli, that's exactly what camel is, and he is highly disobedient. Danzreva in Georgian language means rocking, swaying. Reva is a Masdar ending, which leaves us with the root dans, which is rocking, swaying, which is dance. The project Between Two Iberias is valuable from my point of view for many things, but one of them is the possibility actually to travel like in time machine, seeing and discovering things which have been forgotten long ago and which seem to never be able to be taken from that oblivion. For example, the word dingy in Georgian language means serious, calm, unhurried, and dignified. If we are talking about gait, whose gait is the most dignified, the most unhurried, and the most beautiful? It's the gait of Africans. No one walks better than African people in this world, and we see that their way of behaving, of walking, was reflected in a very, very solid Georgian word, dingy, meaning serious, dignified, etc. And what is dingy today in English language? It still applied to African people, but in the absolutely opposite meaning, being pejorative word. And look what happened. We had a beautiful, incredibly beautiful civilization, Kartvelian speaking civilization, speakers of which noted that African race is serious, common, heard, and dignified, and reflected that in their Kartvelian word dingy. After that, Indo-Europeans came, destroyed the existing Kartvelian civilization, wiped all the everything that resembled the Kartvelian past, and took the word that they knew was applied to African people, but in the meaning they had no idea about, and started to use the same word in the opposite meaning. Isn't that impressive? Isn't that ridiculous? Isn't that a real traveling by time machine, which revealed us the true essence of the whole race and the attitude towards that race from the neighbors, serious, common, heard, and dignified. African, Afro-American, Afro-European, whatever people, why don't you stand up for your reputation, which used to be that great? And please remember that we were able to reveal that huge part of your history thanks to Georgian language and the Kartvelian family in general. Drami, that's instant moment second. Dram, you know what dram is. For leba, that would be lowering. F and p, as I mentioned many times, are the same thing. That would be etymology for the verb to fall. Frena, that to let birds go. So again, p and f being the same sound, that would be etymology for the word free. Frena has fr exactly as the root. Tricky but worthy. Glove, that is glove, and glover, that would be mourning. And here is an article that mentioned that gloves were the most widely dispersed of funeral gifts, believe it or not. Gneba, meaning knowing, gn and kn, that would be the same, totally the same root. Gre in Georgian used to mean notch anywhere, but when it comes to the scales, the notch, on scales like that, the notches are used to show you grams. Gram, that would be Megrelian adjective ending with am suffix made out of the gre root. So gram, that's also a Kartvelian word. Gumi, that's slow moving, sluggish, that is gum, which moves very slowly when it drapes from the tree. Ham, that would be pig. Ham, this is pig too. Or hap, that is an Icelandic word which starts with the negative prefix both in Icelandic and Georgian languages, and which has hap as the root. That would be unhappiness, and hap, definitely that's the same root as in English happy. Hapa, that would be breathlessness, is in Georgian language. So happy is someone who is left breathless. If you have any other explication for the word or etymology for the word happy, be my guest. Her in Swan language, that's saint. That may be the etymology for the word Kirche, German Kirche, church, with the further shift of the meaning onto church itself. Or maybe not. Klwa, that's killing. Kl, that's the root of the Masdar. Kipi, that's holding arrow by its notch on drawn bow, and keep, that's just holding. Crocodile, crocoto, colored, colorful, we already spoke about that in the Spanish chapter, but just Don't forget about that. Lakwa, that's well, source and font, with the root being lak here, a wonderful etymology for the word lake. Litre in Swan language, that would be a drink, starting with li, which is a very typical Swan prefix. If you spell the word litre with English letters, you will have liter, which is something quite drinkable. Similar example, litle would be to press down something, which eventually will lead in reducing it. And again, that's a typically Swan word. We remember the tla root in Georgian language, li, as a Swan, typical Swan prefix. But if you spell it with English letters, you will have little, which is what the object becomes when you push it, when you press it. Lord is, among other things, the son of a duke or marquess, or the eldest son of an earl. In Georgian language, lordi is a new shoot or sprout. Luli means slumber. That's where lullaby comes from. Mahwa, that would be sharpening or honing. That would be German machen and eventually English make. Wonderful example. Mona, that's slave. Monas, that would be genitive case from this word. And teri, that would be bedding. Monastery, that's slaves. God slaves. Sorry, it's not slave. It's God slaves. It's monk. God slaves bedding. This is what monastery is, and that's an impeccable Georgian construction. Monateba, that's light in illumination. Monat, that's moon in German language, and month in that would be in English language. Mur comes from muri, which means suit. Much comes from muchi, which means handful. Nation comes from nateli and nacer. Nacer, that's Spanish for to be born. Both come from the Georgian word nateli. And we also mentioned, meaning light. And we also mentioned candle as a derivation from santeli. Nedaba, that would be taken from takings from begging. Nedaba, that's a word that has ned as a root. That would be need. North, or north, that would be its Latin pronunciation. Norti in Migrelian language means the same that, and it exists in two versions, Norti and Narti, meaning the same thing, and they mean blood relative. So, since ancient Ukraine used to be Kartvelian speaking all over, and since Swedish people seem to be quite relatives to Swan people, we will talk about that later when we do the comparative analysis between Icelandic and Georgian languages. And since Snorri Sturluson, the most important historian of Scandinavian history, mentions that the territory of Ukraine actually used to be Sweden, all that allows us to think that the Kartvelian-speaking inhabitants of Ukraine may have considered the Swedes who lived to the north from them, consider them their blood relatives, who in fact they seem to have been, and from here, the direction where the blood relatives blood relatives Norti live, started to mean any direction, anything which is in that direction, that would be north. Yes, the blood relatives lived to the north. Piveba, that would be scratching, clawing, cutting, skin, etc. This is to peeve. Pool sometimes means some sum of money. For example, in overall money at stake in a gambling game, while pooli in the Georgian language is just money. And it's a totally Georgian word. Pot, ever wondered why the pot, well, meaning marijuana, is called that way? It's because in Georgian language, poti means crazy and mad. Panchuri means kicking, that would be punch. Pushwa means thrusting, for example, weapon, that would be push. Rideba, Georgian rideba means shunning, avoidance, that would be rid and to get rid. Rig, that is to distribute, and that would be this in English language. To rig, to equip somebody, has almost the same meaning. Incredible. Rokwa, Georgian rokwa, which has rok as its root, means dancing, celebratory dancing. This is what rock is, improvised. Ruka in Georgian language means joined up. That's ruki. Rohwa means, and rohi means coarse or rough. Actually, roh and rough, that's the same root. This one is lengthy. Score is to mark something with scratches or notches, for example, while in Georgian language, score means dung or excrement. Something that, well, notches are used to mark, for example, someone's territory, while animals do the same with the help of their excrements. Sweep in Swan language means area. Temi means community, gathering, assembly, etc. A beautiful etymology for team. Tiria, tirili, tiris, all that is connected with crying, weeping. That would, as the word tear does. Beautiful. Tinkela in Pshav dialect of Georgian language means urinary bladder. Tinkle means to piss. Upro in Georgian language means more. That might be a good etymology for up, for the word up, especially since the word up, the official etymology says that it comes from Latin sub, meaning under, something totally opposite. Valley means field, which might be valley. Wari, refusal, denial. Wari is exactly what war is, actually war. Any war starts with when somebody refuses something or denies something. Waresi, that's worse in the same meaning. And several interesting findings in the Welsh dictionary. For example, the Welsh tro, meaning time, is draw in Georgian language. Dodi and dadeba also coincide in their meanings. Gwyn and gwino, that will be wine in both languages. Hwiat and ihwi, that would be duck in both languages. Also, parablu and laparaki may be cognates. Mochin and machwi may be cognates too. They both mean badger. Hogen and gogo mean girl. Hogen in Welsh language, gogo in Georgian. And the postposition gan, meaning from, is used in that meaning in both languages, in Welsh language and in Georgian language. But the most remarkable example would be what goes on when you try to conjugate the fundamental kola verb of Georgian language. So in Georgian, kola means the same as Kyle means in Welsh language, to have. So you see the correspondence at least of two consonants of this verb. But when you try to conjugate it in the first person singular in the present tense, kola turns into mkovs in Georgian language, while in Welsh language, in this same form, it will be kaf. So not only consonants correspond again, but in both languages, l turns into v or f, which is the same consonant, and that's completely remarkable. This was just a surface comparative analysis between Welsh and Georgian language. We should do a much thorough study, which will bring, I'm absolutely sure, wonderful results. Welsh language used to be Kartvelian, no doubts about that.
Ari, ჩვენი სიცოცხლე, ჩიტივით გაგვიფრინდება.